Well, good day! So for today, we're still going to be talking about the DC animated universe from 1966 to 1970. And I'm pretty excited about this one, man, because we're going to be talking about
the Justice League of America! America! America!
Yeah, that's right, DC's freaking super group, right? It's gonna be a gooder. So now if you will divert your eyes to this list of how things happen on this channel, we will get to these different things, 1, 2, 3. So alright, let's go. Alright, so there's a whole bunch of calamity on Earth at the moment, right? There's a war happening between two alien forces and Earth is just kind of caught in the middle of it. On one side of the battle, you have these alien rockmen. They are actually working underneath the Earth's surface and creating some kind of a weapon there. And they're battling against these alien crystal men from Mercury, and those Mercurians are attacking from space. Like, holy jeez, right? So these rockmen have been getting these drill-like kind of antenna rockets flown towards Earth to help them build some kind of a weapon thingamaroo. And this weapon is essentially a magnet for meteors and comets and stuff like that. So you got all these space rocks flying towards Earth all of a sudden, right? Which can't be good. So what can we do to stop this? Well, only thing you can do, you call the Justice League. So just like that, you got Superman and Green Lantern in space, acting as a shield for Earth, destroying all this space debris. And at the same time, Hawkman finds one of these Crystal Man's, ships flying towards Earth. So he's like Urim McGurd. He radios the Flash and the Atom so they can intercept this thing on the surface.
Meanwhile,
the Atom shrinks down, to a really small size so he can sneak into the Mercurian spaceship, and he starts kind of flipping switches and knobs to kind of stop the machine from kind of working. I'm not sure, that anything he's doing is good. Like, he could be setting off a self-destructive sequence for all he knows, really, right? But luckily, no, it just, shuts the machine down. Hawkman and Flash get inside to see, and they're like, yo, alien guys, what the hell's going on? What are you doing? So the Mercurian Crystal Men give them the whole story that the Rockmen are using Earth as a testing ground, for this meteor magnet. They're gonna shoot that beam towards Mercury, which will make Mercury, a hot spot for, flying comets and stuff, and try to destroy the planet that way, which will also destroy the nuclear core of Mercury, which is a defensive device that the Mercurians created, to defend themselves. But it's freaking nuclear, man. If this thing gets hit and goes off, boom, there goes Mercury, and that's gonna screw up the entire solar system, right? So the Justice League is like, crap, man, we kind of stopped the wrong guys. So let's break up in teams and try to stop this whole solar system destruction event, from happening,
So
Superman, drills his way down to the core of the Earth to stop the Rockmen from, shooting that beam off into space. But he is just a moment too late. The beam shoots off, but luckily, Superman destroys the machine after, so they can't get another shot. So that's pretty hip.
Meanwhile, in space,
Hawkman's flying around on his, spaceship, and boom! He shoots a beam out of his ship to stop the Rockman's beam, which is like, man, I can't even calculate the odds of how precise of a shot this has to be, man, but damn, nice shot, man. So with those threats gone, Green Lantern goes to neutralize the Crystal Man's nuclear core on Mercury, but the nuclear core gets damaged. This thing's about to explode, right? So Green Lantern does the only thing he can do, which is to use his Green Lantern powers to contain this nuclear explosion. What? Okay, you know what? Sure, Green Lantern is really strong, his lantern power is incredibly powerful, but he's gonna use this to contain a nuclear blast. Like a blast that can destroy a planet. Superheroes are great, man, but they kind of have limits. You think this would be one of them? But no, he does indeed contain the blast. So that neutralizes that threat. So with the Crystal Men and the Rockmen both being defenseless and weaponless, they decide to, stop their battle and basically sign a peace treaty. So they will work together on future things in peace and friendship, so that's all good. So the day, the Earth, Mercury, and the rest of the solar system is saved. And with that is the end of this fantastic tale. That is a fancy, awesome little episode, as far as I'm concerned. Not the usual alien invasion story that we get in a lot of these DC Animated Universe filmation episodes going on. Kinda similar, but not quite, right? Because, you know, aliens are fighting and Earth was just caught in the middle this time. And it was a pretty good story that was told pretty well, right? Like, all the basic little things that you needed to know were stuff that you were told about, right? Like, there was the Crystal Men from Mercury, there was the Rockmen, and they were at war with each other. Right, so that's like the basics of it. So if you needed to just follow the story, that's all you really needed to know. But if you wanted a more fleshed out story, they didn't really give you any answers to some of these unanswered questions, such as... where are the Rockmen from? And why are the Crystal Men and Rockmen at war anyway? It's one of those things where you kind of have to fill in the blanks yourself to get a more complete story. So for this example, I would probably go the route of, let's say, well, based on the fact that the Rockmen and the Crystal Men kind of dressed somewhat similar, I would say that they would originally both be from Mercury, right? Like maybe the Crystal Men were the subterranean kind of species and the Rockmen lived on or closer to the surface. And for some reason, there's a fight between the two and the Rockmen were kicked off the planet, so they wanted to destroy Mercury because, like, you know, if we can't live there, then nobody can kind of thing, right? Not really the best kind of story or anything, but you know, it does fill in a lot of the holes of why of everything is happening in this episode. You could have even had some throwaway line, you know, at the end of the episode when the Rockmen and the Crystal Men were, you know, having that kind of peace accord talks going on. Something like, you know, oh, we've been at war for so long, but we don't even really know why, so let's start a new era of peace. Like, right? You know, just a little bit more meat to kind of put on the whole skeleton of the story, I guess, right? The one thing about this episode that really kind of attacks the whole suspension of disbelief concept is Green Lantern and his lantern powers. So in the review I did of that one Hawkman episode of where he flew from Earth to Pluto in like lickety-split time, you could fill in the gaps and say, well, yeah, his ship can go light speed, so he got there really quick, and you're like, okay, you know, that's good enough of an answer. Whereas in this episode, Green Lantern flew from Earth to Mercury in like no time either. Not on a super fast spaceship or anything. Just with his lantern powers that does not give him the power of super speed like Superman or the Flash. So that kind of throws you off and you're kind of thinking like, how is that even possible? And his lantern powers contained a nuclear explosion to the degree that it can destroy a planet. Right? It gets to the point where there's no danger or excitement in a story because the superhero can just use his superpowers to just easily save the day with, you know, with no creative, you know, reasons behind it. Okay, now that I think about it, if the Green Lantern used the Crystal Man's ship that the Justice League kind of knocked down on the Earth's surface to fly to Mercury, you know, that would make sense. But, you know, either way, the episode was still really good. I'm just really nitpicking at this point. Like, it is really awesome to see, like, this team together because they are, like, one of the greatest superhero teams ever. So to see them in cartoon form in the first time, actually pretty awesome, and I'm really happy with it. But yeah, other than that, I got some more things going on after this, talking about the Justice League and all those other kind of things, so let's go check it out now. So, much like in the comic book realm, all of the characters in the comic book Justice League originally were formed in their own solo comic books and comic stories, and later joined together to form the Justice League. And this cartoon series was like no different, right? With these Justice Leaguers having their own mini cartoon series or full, you know, series first, and then being put together in this cartoon 3-episode series, right? Like, well, I guess except for one exception, Aquaman is part of this Justice League team, and he is even featured in the opening credits, but he does not appear in this episode. I guess fish don't really survive floating in space. And like, speaking of the whole lineup, like, when you think of the Justice League, there's 3 main characters that really come to mind, right? Of course, that would be Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman, and the latter 2 are not involved in this cartoon, and you're like, what? Like, what the heck, right? Which is, you know, kind of funny. Batman didn't get his own show in this Filmation universe until the following year, and it's similar to how Robin was not in the Teen Titans cartoon, even though in the comics he's like one of the founding characters of it, right? Gremlin1960 has commented on my previous video that Batman and Robin weren't in this 1967 cartoons because of the live-action Batman show happening on ABC in 1967. That was a conflict of TV rights with the two networks about these characters. The funny thing is though, like in the Teen Titans cartoon, they did have Wonder Girl there, so if she could be there, why couldn't you have Wonder Woman in the Justice League cartoon? Like at this point, like Filmation was in the early process of making a Wonder Woman series for this cartoon universe, so it's just funny, you know, like they have the rights to these characters for their shows and you think they can make it work, but you know, I guess that's beyond my pay grade, so what do I know, eh? So if we're talking comic books, like the Justice League first appeared in The Brave and the Bold number 28 in 1960, so that original team consisted of Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, The Flash, Green Lantern, Aquaman, and the Martian Manhunter. Of course, the Justice League was based upon the Justice Society of America, which was a golden age of comics era super team. And for comparison with this cartoon and the Justice Society did include the golden age versions of Green Lantern, Hawkman, Flash, and the Atom. The Justice Society did first appear in All-Star Comics number 3 in 1940. And with the Justice League of America, you know, being founded and having a pretty good success, there were other Justice League teams that came up, you know, hither and dither throughout the comics history there in DC. And a lot of the teams were kind of short-lived, some kicked around for a while. Like, you had the Justice League based in Detroit. Like, there was the Justice League Europe, there was Justice League International. Like, those were two of the main ones, and that, you know, was pretty cool. And of course, for all you fellow hosers in Canada, there was indeed Justice League Canada. Well, they weren't exactly called that. It was a 5-issue short story within the Justice League United comic series from, you know, 2014, and that featured some non-Canadians fighting a battle in, well, Ontario, Canada. If there was a true all-Canadian superhero team of Justice League Canada, man, I would be the first one reading that one there, but I don't think that's gonna happen. In television and movies, yeah, man, there were like many incarnations of the Justice League. Like on TV, like you had some pretty classic cartoons, right? Like you had the Super Friends in what, the 70s and 80s? Not called Justice League, but you know, it's the Justice League, right? Another classic cartoon in 2001 was just Justice League, part of the DC animated universe from that era. There was a couple of failed live-action TV shows, including Justice League from 1997 and the Legends of Superheroes from the 1970s. And yes, I will be making a couple videos of those. I'm totally pumped up for it, because if there's one thing I love, it's campy and cheesy TV shows, especially if it's like kind of a bomb. And of course in the movies, there was a Justice League movie, well technically two, however you want to look at it. There was the original release from the Joss Whedon kind of styles from 2017, and there was a much superior Zack Snyder version of the movie in 2021 that came out. The original vision for the movie, right? That's pretty much what we have for them in TVs and movies and whatnot. It all started off with this featured episode, so that's pretty cool to see where it all kind of came from on TV anyway. And fret not, I'm sure there will be a whole lot more Justice League teams and movies and shows and all that stuff kicking around in the future, so it's all good there. And yeah, well, I guess that's pretty much all I got for you guys on this one. So yeah, I guess, you know, all that and all those other things there, I guess that's that. Right on, and there you go. So thanks for watching the video. I hope you liked it as much as I did making it. Also, feel free to check out the source material that I featured in this video. And if you want to leave a comment on anything you may have liked or things I might have missed in this, you know, feel free to do so. Or anything else, you know, just to say hi, that's cool too. And other than that, you know, have a great day. Thanks.